Welcome to dojo.live, the place where top minds in travel and hospitality check in to share insights and breakthroughs shaping the industry. Brought to you by Encora, your trusted partner for AI, cloud, and data-driven innovation. Enjoy your stay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Dojo Live this April 1st, 2025. But nobody here is a fool. We're all doing the right thing by being here because we've got great information to share. What we are here at Dojo Live is candid conversations with industry leaders tackling the biggest technology challenges in travel and hospitality. My name is Kim Lantis, and today I will be hosting our episode number 3 of our Powering Hospitality Insights from Hospitality's PMS Leaders series. Of course, I'm not doing it alone. Sridhar Padmanabhan is here with me to co-host. Hey, Sridhar, good to see you again.
Hey, Kim, great to be here. Thank you.
Perfect. So excited because I know that our guest today is a longtime friend of yours. Today, we're going to be discussing PMS, the heart of a hotelier's tech. And this is with Jeff Bzdawka of Hapi, president of Hapi. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, Kim. Always good to see both you and Sridhar. I was happy to hear that I thought the reason you invited me today is because being April Fool's Day, I was a fool. So good to know that was not the case.
Oh, that's not the reason why.
I wouldn't dare.
Today, Jeff, we're going to be talking about how the PMS works even better when it's connected to the rest of the tech ecosystem that hoteliers are utilizing, and especially enabling experiences with data. But before we dive into that, we'd like to talk a little bit about your decades of hospitality experience. I know you've got from the brand side at Hyatt to leading tech providers like Hapi. What are some of the first-hand challenges you've experienced that shape your perspective, right, on PMS technology, as well as hospitality tech in general? And then, of course, wrapping it up to what drew you to Hapi. Thank you.
Right. And thank you for referring to my experience. By using the word decades, it makes me feel pretty old here, Kim.
It makes you feel like the powerhouse that you are, Jeff.
Great. Well, again, it's my pleasure to be here today. My true passion, maybe a little bit different than your typical hospitality tech leader or senior executive, that I've had the opportunity to work both as a hotelier. In fact, I consider myself a hotelier first and foremost, then more of an accidental technologist. My true passion lies at that intersection of where hospitality and technology meets, and how technology can be used to scale change. And as we all know, the pace of change is insane these days. But then also enable caring service. As you had teed up, the PMS is one of the core systems and core applications within the industry. But as you also point out, it's not the only system. It's not the only application. And the space that we play is highly complex. Some say whether it's siloed or fragmented. And the PMS is just one of multiple systems that have to come together to be able to truly create unique experiences, personalized experiences at the property level. Since moving from hotel operations, I've had the pleasure to, if you would, work above property and both at a chain level, a brand level, spending nearly 20 years at Hyatt over 2 different stints, but also then as a hospitality technology provider, whether that was at Pegasus, when Pegasus was a bit of a larger company and had multiple business units, TravelClick, where I was chief operating officer, and then also had the opportunity, as I got deeper into hospitality tech, my passion got more into data, because data is an enabler and data is a challenge in our industry. So I took an opportunity to join Noland, where I was CEO there, and Noland is now part of Sendai, and then came to Hapi, As I assessed my opportunities and what brought me here, I largely looked at the people element, the vision, and the value. And Hapi, we have nearly 100 colleagues with nearly 900 years of hospitality technology experience, which is a big asset for us. We understand the business, we can speak the language. And then as you look at where the industry is right now and fast forward or looking at ways to embrace AI, it all starts with the connectivity of the applications of the systems and access to data.
Absolutely. And I think that brings us to the title of today's topic and what we really want to dive into, with the PMS often being called the heart of a hotel's tech stack. And as you mentioned already, but with so many different systems feeding into it, POS, mobile keys, kiosks, you name it. My question is point-to-point integration really enough? And if not, what is it that's missing?
Great point. Point to point is not enough. And it really needs to be more end to end. If we just focus on the front office, for instance, that front desk experience, arguably the two most important customer touch points are at point of arrival and point of departure. Check in and check out, if you would. The saying is that your average front office colleague touches anywhere between 6 to 12 different systems throughout the course of the day. And oftentimes they have to touch more than one system to do a simple check-in and check-out. And oftentimes vendors in the space we play focus just on that point-to-point solution and don't take the time to understand holistically how they play into the broader sense, and it's end-to-end. Many of the experiences that get enabled cut across more than two systems, more than two applications, 3 or more. So it's really having an open environment and an open API for that connectivity. Now, as we were joking before the call, I could be really provocative and talk about, what is truly the heart of hotels' technology operating system. Some debate it's a central res, others say it's loyalty, others say it's CRM, others say it's PMS. And if you look at the space and focusing in on PMS, I would suggest, and being as bold as, a deconstructed PMS is probably the best PMS. And it's more focused on best of breed and being able to string together the right solutions to be able to remove friction and create great customer experiences, and something that's easy and simple, I should say, not necessarily easy, because simple isn't easy, but simple to use for colleagues. And if you look at really that core, it's about data transport, data transformation, and connectivity. The shorter answer is point to point is too narrow of a focus. You really need to start with the end in mind, understanding what the experience is, and look at an end-to-end application solution, if you would, that cuts across multiple different solution sets.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. So I think as we are looking at it, you mentioned a couple of things, and I'm kind of going to give you a two-part question. Sorry about that. I think the two-part question is that, yes, data is in one place, and now it needs to be made useful. And you also alluded to the guest experience, right? I think part of today, when they are jumping through 5 or 6 systems, is to satisfy and make sure what the guest should get, but it kind of reduces the guest experience a little bit. Having data in one place is part A, guest experience part B. I think the actionable. So is that really something that you're seeing happening? Is it being made more actionable in this new world?
The industry is getting better, Sridhar, but I think there is significant opportunity to continue to improve. Many years of my decades, Kim, As I looked at, the holy grail in our industry is about creating points of differentiation. How do hotel brands and chains break out of what's often referred to as that sea of sameness? And it comes down to creating truly personalized experiences. And that starts at the onset of how you package and what you offer to a guest, all the way through and ensuring that what the guest sold and what the guest is expecting, you can deliver at the property level itself. I think the industry still relies, we'll call more on faux personalization and trying to bucketize individuals into common type of personas versus getting down to really what I'll call guest-based marketing and guest-based experiences.
Right.
So getting access to that data in a timely manner to be able to appropriately market to, ultimately sell to, and then service, we still have a lot of work to do as an industry of turning that data set into an action, a set of actions.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Awesome. Talking about getting this data into a single place, making it actionable, I'm curious if you can share an example of how this type of data transformation has led to any real life experience of this guest enablement that we are talking about, something that shows the impact of moving just beyond the collection to actually using it.
Great. And if you don't mind, I'll give a few examples of where Hapi comes in to play in a few
Absolutely,
different examples. We are engaged with multiple hotel chains and provide this data transport and transformation, which starts with that connectivity and opening up and connecting into an API environment. One use case we bring to life is triggering a guest survey, something as simple as moving the survey earlier into the actual activity at the property. And we take a check-in message and trigger to a survey provider that Sridhar's checked in, and you can fire off at a certain time a simple message is, how was your check-in experience? Is everything working in your room? Do you have everything you need? So moving that closer to the experience. And then if Sridhar responds, I had a problem, or I was expecting, my room's too warm, or I was supposed to have, foam pillows instead of feather pillows, taking that response from the survey and then triggering it into a service optimization tool to ensure that not only did Sridhar give us feedback, we listened, we heard, and we took action. And then being able to then take that information and tie it back to the loyalty application. It's all about, in order to, service recovery is a lot easier to do and often valued more than the guest when they're there in the property than a week after. Another scenario in addition to the Pulse survey is, Kim, you're checking into a hotel and you're a part of their loyalty program. At the point that you check in, firing in a sidebar message that Kim is an elite member and Kim has a certain amount of points available to use on breakfast or dining or some other event, and to trigger off not only the notification to the colleague who's checking you in, getting that information from the loyalty system, but then actually being able to, in this case, this particular hotel uses vouchers to be able to support printing of the voucher and then tracking that voucher all the way through. So again, in order to deliver upon that experience, from recognizing the guest, you, Kim, and your value to the chain, to what your status is, and that you have points you can burn while you're staying at the property, being able to sit on top of that and pull that all together. And one other use case is, mobile key, mobile entry is important. The industry is still working to get that best experience at play. And what we enable for another major chain who is dropping their mobile key into Apple Wallet is we facilitate that transaction and that flow of data using APIs across multiple systems to be able to enable the mobile entry and taking something that most mobile entry points for hotel chains are measured in 20, 30 seconds, where using Apple Wallet technology, you're able to take that from a simple walk up to the door, and within 2 seconds, you're able to get in, improving the experience and bringing those systems and those applications together. I think we all have experienced well-intended technology that breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, that breakdown in technology is at that point of integration. So examples here of where that connectivity supports a heightened experience, and it's through solid connectivity points, but then also with those connectivity points in place, ensuring smooth flow of data to be able to take action and to be able to deliver heightened experiences.
Yeah, no kidding. Like 2 seconds versus 20 seconds. I don't want to be waiting 20 seconds outside of my hotel room to enter. I'm throwing the towel and be like, screw this. I would like a traditional room key, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and even being a hotel technologist, I've been there myself, where I've gone down and said, I tried, give me the plastic key.
Yeah. Jeff, back at high tech, you weren't really sure about whether we had the data for AI, right? Now, AI in multiple forms, front office, back office, right? Now, it's not just that the few months have been passed, but also the use cases and possibly the utility, kind of like is AI more evolving as a utility infielder, so to speak, in different use cases, or not just the front office is it also helping with stitching things together in the case of a mobile key, or making things slightly quicker in other non-traditional, what people were thinking about a year ago versus now, what are your thoughts, or what are you seeing in industry other people do?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. We could spend hours on this topic alone speaking to it. I think where the industry is right now is AI is more informational in nature versus taking it to a true, not just giving information, but be able to complete a transaction and an interaction itself. You had mentioned, when I was at High Tech last year, great show. Everybody was talking about AI. Everybody was talking about it differently, had their different view of it. But I left a little disheartened and maybe a bit disillusioned of the industry, and felt like we still were missing something as an industry. And it's easy to get excited about that new bright, shiny object. But in order to do that, you need to be able to, AI is not possible without access to data, timely access to data. In our industry still, as we had just spoken about earlier in this discussion, we still have a fair bit of work to do. Last week, I was at an industry event, and one of the keynote speakers was talking about the evolution of AI in different use cases, both within hospitality and outside of hospitality. And a point there resonated with me that tied back to why I felt the way I did when I left High Tech is there is a study out there that suggests that right now, 75 to 80% of AI projects, AI efforts fail. And the reason why they fail is the focus is on that end experience and the outcome or the use case only. And if you think of that as the tip of the iceberg, everything else below waterline is often underestimated or in many instances ignored. This AI specialist, if you would, said the base of that pyramid is all about data governance data management, and went on to suggest that the majority and the reason that 75 to 80% of those AI experiences fail or don't get the intended outcome is because the data is not in order or the data is not accessible. And I think that's true in hospitality, and we need to continue to evolve and improve. I think it's a strong call to action to the vendor community to do a better job working together to ensure that our data sets are able to be brought together in some level of commonality to be able to be used and consumed by agents.
Well, you mentioned, I mean, this brings us to that trifecta, right? We've been talking about the AI piece, the data piece a lot throughout today's conversation. And then the third point being the cloud piece that sort of, I think, brings this all together. I know that cloud adoption is, of course, happening. I feel that in some cases it's still lagging behind, in even some major hotel groups probably. Why do you think that is? And what will be that tipping point, or when we're going to see that iceberg do that massive flip that they sometimes do for this true cloud migration along with the AI, the data, and what are some of the cool things that you think are going to be able to happen when that happens?
Yeah. That's interesting, and yes, I think our industry has done a fairly good job in moving forward with the evolution to cloud. Unfortunately, we're still feeling the after effects of the pandemic, and certain projects were stalled or definitely delayed. But I would suggest that in order to get that true value of AI, you don't have to be fully cloud enabled. It makes it easy in certain instances, but there will always be situations, whether it's through an acquisition and you happen to have premise-based that you need to eventually move over, or you're going through a major shift from one PMS that is predominantly and still is predominantly premise-based, and they're in the process of transitioning to a cloud environment, that it's going to take some time, and you don't want to wait for that to be over. Also, when you look at cloud, there are multiple iterations of cloud. You have private clouds, you have public clouds, and then are you in an AWS or in Azure? And there's still going to be disparate systems that need to be brought together. So by no means do I think we have to wait until we're all into that holy grail, the panacea environment. Working with the right partners, there is the ability to provide that overlay, to be able to gain access in a timely manner, to be able to remove friction from guest experiences, create personalized experiences, use that data set to be able to augment labor. I think the industry will continue to be challenged with labor and finding the right resources and getting the resources in place. Don't wait to be the cloud is the message. There are things you can do now to get your house in order to be able to take enjoy those opportunities and get the most of it. I am really, and while I was disenchanted, disheartened by where the industry is, on the flip side, I am extremely excited about the opportunities that AI permits. And we're going, from chatbots being able to answer a simple question, when does the pool open, to be able to take actions and having the agents end up fulfilling those transactions in a staff aug. Enablement of choice. There are certain individuals that would prefer when they stay at a hotel never to encounter a human, and technology and AI enable that. But there are others that still want that personalized experience. And then the job as technology providers is to use the technology to get the right data and the actionable insights in the hands of those that are caring for or serving guests. So, the pace of change is unlike anything we've ever seen right now, and it's largely due to technology and AI. the pace of change tomorrow is going to be absolutely insane compared with where we're at today. So the sooner you get your house in order, the data in place, and have the systems connected, and realize that there's more than point-to-point integration. There's the holistic view, the better off you'll be to be able to lean in. And I said tongue-in-cheek, a deconstructed PMS. And today, the PMS is more than just a cash register. That's an important piece that it plays, but it is also, if you would, that central point for data distribution and ensuring all of the pieces come together.
Mm-hmm. And I think that brings up to, for me, as we coming to the near the end of the show today, your kind of passions, things that excite you, what we've been talking about in terms of end to end and bringing it all together. And it's a word that comes up on Dojo Live often, and I think on nearly every conversation I have, and that's silos. Right. So I know that some vendors and properties are still operating in these silos, making a collaboration kind of difficult. You mentioned partnerships and choosing the right partners. What do you think it will take or for the industry to keep moving toward a more unified ecosystem? And what are some of the conversations and things that you've seen and participated in that indicate that is happening?
So I look at this challenge that we're up against right now and the significant change that AI is bringing and the enablement from AI. I believe this is a fulcrum moment for the industry. And if we go back, our industry, the hospitality industry, has a long history of partnerships. And whether it's hotels partnering with other hotels that are truly competitive, or technology providers that are competitive partnering, or the two groups coming together, there's this term of coopetition. You need to be comfortable. You need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and working with partners. Our industry, back in the early days when electronic distribution was blossoming, the industry came together. The hotel companies came together and said, hey, we need a better solution to be able to distribute our products. And they created a company known as, at the time, Thisco, the Hotel Industry Switch Company, then known as Pegasus. And those were competitors that came together to find ways to lever and take full advantage of the technology. I think we may be at that same kind of moment in time. And I think our challenge is for the industry, whether it's the hospitality tech providers or the hoteliers or the combination of the two, to come together. And, it's not the technology itself that's the differentiator. It's what you do with it. It's oftentimes it's the people and the location. The technology is the enabler.
Thanks, Jeff. I think that perfectly tees up the future, as in, okay, now that we've done all of this, and you've spent a significant amount of time on the hotel side of things as well. Do you see, in the future, what, we talk about as a single pane of glass, a little bit more heads up, a little bit less heads down? Do all of these things, do they lead there? What have you seen? What is your hope?
The hope is, if you look at the hospitality tech space, it is fairly fragmented, and there are a lot of solutions that are in place, a lot of point solutions that all need to come together. I'll go back to probably one of the proudest moments in my career was I had the opportunity while I was at Hyatt the second time, we brought together a group of individuals and said, the two most important touch points, check in, check out. The single highest point of turnover for staff at property level was the front desk. We need to do a better job.
Wow.
And we looked at the root of the issue and realized our technology was way too complex. We had 6 to 12 different applications. And honestly, by the time you got a colleague trained and proficient on the application, it was time for them to move on. And you had this constant churn. And we've all been there, whether it's at an airline or now more that's kiosk-based or at a hotel. you're talking to the top of somebody's head as they're looking down. And we challenged the team to find a way to turn that transaction into an interaction, into a conversation. We took our development team out of corporate and we put them in the hotels working behind the front desk. Having a solution designed by, with, and for the colleagues using it was a tremendous success. So I believe that we need more of that in the industry. And as we looked at, and that was developed pre-pandemic, one of the things I'm also excited about is in our industry, our chains appear to be embracing a community model more so now than they ever have, which means that we are coming together to be able to simplify user interfaces. Again, simplifying it is not easy. Simplifying access to data and the connectivity points. We need to find, again, the right partners to be able to come together. But, simplifying the experiences, designing solutions with the end in mind and ultimately the goal and being outcome focused will be key to truly leveraging technology. Technology shouldn't be the forefront. Technology needs to be the enabler.
I love it. I think that's an amazing way to wrap up today's episode and the future of what technology is, the enabler. A big thank you to you, Jeff Bzdawka of Hapi, president of Hapi, for sharing how a true PMS connectivity goes beyond simple integrations and how it's more about transforming data into actionable insights that drive that seamless guest experience. Now, before we go, if the audience would like to learn more about Hapi or connect with you or your team directly, how might they go about doing that?
Our website is happycloud.io. And then to reaching out to me directly, you can do that on LinkedIn. I love having those conversations and keeping those conversations going. Kim and Sridhar, it was my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about my decades of experience.
Thank you for making this.
The pleasure was truly ours, Jeff. Thank you. We'd also like to thank our sponsor of Dojo Live here, Encora, for making such awesome conversations happen. Encora does partner with leading technology, travel, and hospitality companies to accelerate their innovation through world-class engineering solutions. So be sure to check that out as well. Now, if you enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did, please be sure to follow Dojo Live for more insights from industry leaders like Jeff. You can catch past episodes on our website, dojo.live, and of course, all across socials like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify if listening is more your thing than watching. So thank you once again. And don't cut out yet because we're still continuing our PMS Leaders series. Join us tomorrow, Wednesday, April 2nd, as we dive into how hospitality businesses can bridge the aspiration reality gap to unlock revenue per available guest. I'm not sure if that's RevPAG, RevPOG. How do we say that one? But let's drive profitability beyond room revenue. And that's going to be with Terry O'Hanlon at Agilicis. So see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific. Until then, stay curious, stay innovative, and bye for now.